You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster.
BTS news. Incheon International Airport this afternoon appeared to be its usual bustling self, filled with travelers pulling suitcases and clutching passports. Yet something was different amidst the commotion. Suddenly, tension spread like a silent wave. Cameras began to lift one by one, and within seconds, soft screams from fans who happened to be there broke through like a mini whirlwind. Two incredibly familiar figures emerged from a sleek black car, Kim Taehyung and Jungkook, members of BTS whose every step has always felt like a story. But this time, the story felt more like an unsolved puzzle. Yes, they showed up, but they appeared without many words, without their usual wide smiles, without their signature lingering gazes at the cameras, as they often do during official schedules. There was no bustling crew. No major announcement from HYBE, just the two of them. And that's what made everything feel off. Taehyung wore a long coat with a black scarf that covered part of his face. Jungkook opted for a more casual yet elegant look, a leather jacket and sunglasses that concealed nearly all his expressions. Their steps were quick yet calm. It was as if they didn't want to be caught on camera for long, but weren't completely hiding either. That's what left many wondering. Was this an open appearance or a subtle avoidance? An internal source at the airport revealed that their departure was rather sudden. No official announcement had been made. Even some airport staff admitted they only learned of their arrival about 2 hours before the flight. Their destination? The source mentioned an overseas fashion brand schedule. But which brand? Which country? And why just the two of them? Rumors about their involvement in the fashion world have been circulating for a while. Jungkook, with his increasingly experimental style since his solo debut, and Taehyung, with his unpredictable vintage taste, make a visually perfect pair for any brand aiming to conquer the world. But why now? Amid all the speculation about comebacks, secret projects, division, or reunion, more puzzling was their interaction with each other. Someone recorded a moment of them walking toward immigration. In the now viral clip, Taehyung briefly turned toward Jungkook, as if wanting to say something, but didn't. Jungkook, on the other hand, seemed more closed off than usual. No brief hug. None of their usual gestures. Those secret codes fans believe hint at a deeper bond beyond the stage, a bystander whispered. It felt like watching two people carrying a huge secret, and they can't share it with anyone right now. Could that be true? Some armies speculated that their departure had to do with a major photo shoot for a global fashion house holding an exclusive event in Paris in the coming days. Others believed it to be the beginning of a new fashion duo collaboration, a visual subunit, not in music but in fashion. But more fans trusted their instincts. Something was happening behind the scenes, something far beyond work. Fans online began linking their departure to Jungkook's recent change in mood on Weverse. He once posted a short message, "Need space to breathe, but I'm not going far, right?" A sentence that once seemed simple now felt like a hint. Meanwhile, Taehyung, in a recent interview, was asked what he missed the most. His answer lingered. Someone who knows when to stay silent and when to look. Are those tiny pieces now part of a much larger puzzle? At the departure terminal, there was one unexpected moment captured by a fan site. As they were about to enter the gate, Jungkook turned, just once, toward the silent crowd of fans. His eyes didn't sparkle with energy as they usually did. But then, he raised his hand in a small wave. Just for a second. But it was enough to leave many speechless. As if it was a final wave before stepping into a space unreachable by the public. And Taehyung? He didn't look back. But his steps slowed slightly, just enough to close the gap between him and Jungkook. He said nothing, but it felt like he said everything. A few hours later, the internet exploded with departure photos. Hashtags like hashtag Taehyung departure, hashtag Incheon mystery, and hashtag where is he dominated trending topics across platforms. Questions flew. Where were they headed? Why just the two of them? Was this the beginning of something bigger, or a silent escape from the pressure they've quietly carried? Soon after, the official account of a renowned European fashion house posted a photo of two male silhouettes standing before the Eiffel Tower with the caption, "The future of fashion starts with silence." No names, no visible faces, but armies knew. The world knew. What most people didn't know was that on the plane to their destination, the two barely spoke. Jungkook sat by the window, staring at the fading twilight sky. Taehyung opened a small notebook and scribbled something down, then closed it without rereading. Sometimes, silence is the loudest form of communication. What were they thinking? What did they leave behind? Perhaps one day, we'll find out. Or maybe, this departure isn't meant to be explained today. But one thing's for sure, the world is waiting. Not just for their appearance in the latest fashion, but for the truth hidden beneath their quiet steps earlier today. Steps that looked light, yet weighed heavily in the hearts of fans who've grown with them. Tonight, Incheon's sky is quiet again. But the echoes of V and Jungkook's departure still hang in the air. What really happened? And what will they bring back when they return? As the airplane cabin dimmed and the soft voice of the flight attendant echoed in a gentle announcement, time seemed to pause for Jungkook. He sat still, eyes fixed on the darkened sky beyond the window. The faint overhead light cast a soft shadow over his face. No smile, just a slightly tense jaw, as if holding in something unspoken. Meanwhile, Taehyung sat across the aisle with his brown notebook, the same one he brought from home. He didn't touch his phone, didn't look at the entertainment screen, didn't order a drink. He simply opened the same page, a page that hadn't changed since departure. At the top, a single sentence. "If I must speak, how do I begin without hurting you?" Suddenly, Taehyung glanced toward Jungkook, not to speak, but because something had been hanging in the air since before the flight. A conversation left unfinished. They both knew, but neither started it. Amid the soft drone of the airplane engine, a silence too thick to penetrate settled. That silence carried on until landing. The city they arrived in finally appeared, Milan, Italy, the fashion capital, a city full of secrets and aesthetics. And that night, two men who'd always shown the brightest lights arrived as shadows under a night few would know. They didn't go through the public arrival gate. A black car picked them up via a private exit, driving them straight to a classic-style hotel prepared by the prestigious fashion house they were set to represent in the biggest show of the season. Strangely, no major HYB staff were present, just two personal assistants rarely seen in public. Everything had been arranged so quietly, so carefully, almost as if there was a strong reason why everything needed to move in the shadows in their hotel rooms. Located on different floors, Jungkook stood for a long time on the balcony overlooking the Milanese street. The night breeze slipped through old wooden window frames. He lit a small candle beside his bed, opened his black suitcase, and pulled out something, a sketchbook, not drawings, but fragments of lyrics. Songs that were never sung. Some pages read like poetry. Some were full of scratched out lines. One page contained a single sentence. "Do you remember Paris?" It wasn't a lyric. It wasn't a song line. It was a painful question. Upstairs, Taehyung opened a large folder filled with concept photos from the fashion house. He was to be the main muse of an exclusive show yet to be revealed to the public. A secret project called Sotto Voce, which means in a soft voice in Italian. Ironically, the project emphasized silent expression, faces, gazes, posture, not words. Taehyung was chosen as the icon of silence that speaks. And he knew this wasn't just a fashion role. It was his life.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning. You wonder how I got this way.